that Russia is either trying to set up a buffer zone or is planning to push further forward out of the 4 regions that it partly controls and that it wants Ukrainian forces to withdraw from.
In just 1.8 seconds, 6 shells landed in perfect sync on the advancing Russian column. By the end of the engagement, 8 armoured vehicles lay destroyed, and retreating infantry eventually surrendered to unmanned observation, highlighting the psychological effect of integrated drone and artillery operations. This was not just a display of firepower, it was the coordinated result of advanced sensor-to-shooter technology. Thanks to real-time drone feeds, funneling targeting data directly into the Paladin's automated fire control system, the Russian offensive was ended before it began. The process that enabled this rapid response began with a compact aerial system operating above the battlefield. The Phoenix drone marked a new era in battlefield targeting. Though compact and easily overlooked, it became a critical asset for Ukrainian forces during the engagement near Dresba. Operating at 750 meters altitude, the Phoenix maintained uninterrupted surveillance over the contested area. Its dual electro-optical and infrared sensors provided a continuous multi-spectrum view, enabling operators to distinguish Russian armor and infantry movements regardless of weather or visibility. This dual capability allowed the drone to track targets with high accuracy, even through early morning fog, and ensured that no shift in the Russian formation went unnoticed. The real advantage, however, came from how the Phoenix processed and transmitted this information. With an encrypted frequency-hopping data link, the drone maintained a secure connection to Ukrainian command posts and artillery units, thwarting Russian jamming attempts. Every 1.7 seconds, the drone's battle management system relayed updated targeting data directly to the Paladin Howitzer's fire control computers. This near real-time stream of information gave Ukrainian gunners the ability to adapt instantly as Russian vehicles maneuvered, maintaining firing solutions that reflected the current positions and velocities of moving targets. The Phoenix's AI-powered recognition system played a decisive role in threat assessment. As it surveyed the battlefield, the software outlined each enemy vehicle, prioritizing threats based on armament, armor, and proximity to Ukrainian lines. The lead T-72, flagged by its main gun and frontal armor, was highlighted as the highest priority. This data pipeline slashed the targeting cycle from minutes to under 45 seconds, directly enabling the Paladin's next strike. The integration of AI-driven threat ranking with the Paladin's automated fire control meant that Ukrainian artillery could respond with unprecedented speed and accuracy, eliminating much of the latency that once plagued indirect fire missions. On the ground, Ukrainian defenders faced a pressing threat. Russian T-72 tanks and BMP infantry fighting vehicles advanced across open ground, supported by dismounted troops. Under sustained fire, and with limited time to react, the defenders relied on the Phoenix's continuous surveillance to provide actionable intelligence. The drone's dual sensor suite gave them not only a visual map of enemy movements, but also thermal data that clearly differentiated vehicles from their surroundings. This clarity allowed for precise targeting, even when Russian units attempted to mask their advance in the haze of morning or the cover of terrain. The Phoenix's secure, high-frequency data link ensured that every update reached the Paladin in time to matter. Instead of firing at the enemy's last known position, Ukrainian artillery crews received a constant stream of the most current targeting information. The Paladin's fire control computers absorbed these updates, recalculating firing solutions on the fly as Russian vehicles shifted course or accelerated. Each new data packet refined the aim, increasing the likelihood of a direct hit and minimizing wasted ammunition. This seamless integration between aerial reconnaissance and ground-based firepower fundamentally changed the tempo of the engagement. Where traditional artillery might have taken several minutes to adjust and fire, the Phoenix Paladin network compressed the entire process to under a minute. The result was a force multiplier effect. Ukrainian forces could engage multiple targets with a high degree of precision, maximizing the impact of each round fired. The Phoenix drone became the keystone of this rapid targeting cycle, ensuring that every shot counted and every threat was addressed in real time. As the Russian formation advanced, unaware of how exposed their movements had become, the Phoenix continued to feed targeting data into the Paladin systems. The drone's persistent surveillance and AI-driven analysis left little room for error. Ukrainian artillery was positioned to exploit any vulnerability, and the Phoenix provided the intelligence needed to act with confidence and speed. With the targeting cycle reduced to seconds and the Paladin's guns primed, the stage was set for a demonstration of modern artillery's disruptive power. The next moments would reveal the full effect of integrating real-time drone intelligence with precision fire, as the Russian offensive encountered a response delivered with both speed and accuracy. 17 kilometers behind the front, the M109 Paladin Howitzer stood ready, its 155mm cannon loaded, crew-focused and targeting data streaming in from the Phoenix drone. The crew, led by Sergeant Maxim Boyko, operated with practiced urgency. The fire control system absorbed the drone's real-time intelligence, calculating firing solutions for 8 Russian vehicles advancing at 22 kilometers per hour. Its ballistic computer ingested over 130 battlefield parameters in real time, rapidly producing a firing solution that would have taken older Soviet systems minutes to assemble. Within just 30 seconds, the Paladin was primed to deliver its opening blow. At 0614 hours, the Paladin opened fire. The Paladin's first strike showcased the full potential of multiple round simultaneous impact, or MRSI. Unlike traditional artillery, which lands shells sequentially and allows for enemy reaction, MRSI coordinates the firing of several rounds at different trajectories and velocities so that all arrive within a 2-second window. This approach denied the Russian forces any warning or time to seek cover. The crew executed the sequence with precision. 6 shells left the barrel in rapid succession, each programmed for a unique flight path. Sergeant Boyko later called it like a single unstoppable shockwave, a sentiment echoed in crew debriefs. Impact on the Russian formation was immediate and severe. 2 BMP infantry fighting vehicles at the head of the advance were obliterated, their armor breached and chassis engulfed in flames. The lead T-72, identified by the Phoenix drone as the highest threat, lost a track in the blast and ground to a halt, stranded in open ground. The sudden destruction of these key vehicles fractured the momentum of the Russian assault. Infantry and vehicle crews scrambled for cover, their advance halted by a barrage they never saw coming. The Paladin's technological edge was clear in every aspect of the strike. While Soviet-era artillery still relied on manual calculations and required 2 to 4 minutes to engage, the Paladin's automated systems compressed the entire process to less than half a minute. This speed was not just a technical advantage, it was a shift in battlefield doctrine. The Russians had no chance to disperse or reposition before the shells landed. By the time their commanders could react, the damage was done. Range further protected the Paladin's crew and maximised its effectiveness. With a reach of up to 30 kilometers using standard rounds, the Howitzer operated beyond the effective envelope of most Russian counter-battery systems. This standoff distance allowed Ukrainian forces to strike decisively while minimizing exposure to return fire. The integration with the Phoenix drone's data gave the Paladin the situational awareness of an aerial observer, translating sensor intelligence into immediate lethal action. The psychological effect on the Russian side was profound. The abrupt loss of armoured spearheads and the lack of warning shattered confidence among the attackers. For the Russian crews, the sense of security provided by their armour and formation dissolved in seconds. Reports from the field described confusion, hesitation, and a rapid shift from offence to defence. The Paladin strike had not only inflicted physical losses, but also disrupted the enemy's cohesion and morale. With the Russian advance stalled and their lead vehicles destroyed, Ukrainian defenders used the brief respite to regroup and reposition. The Paladin's precision fire created an opening, but the battle was far from over. Russian armour and infantry regrouped along the shattered trench lines, seeking alternate routes and preparing for renewed action. Ukrainian artillery crews knew the initial success would need to be followed by rapid adaptation as the battlefield shifted. The next phase would demand a new approach. As enemy forces breached the outer defences and pressed into Ukrainian positions, the Paladin would need to shift from massed, simultaneous impacts to more selective and flexible munitions. The challenge was clear: how to transition from striking armoured columns to targeting dispersed infantry and entrenched vehicles, all while maintaining the tempo set by the opening salvo. As the Russian armour broke through the outer defences and infantry surged into the fractured trench lines, Ukrainian forces faced a rapidly deteriorating situation. The Paladin's ability to adapt its munitions in response to these shifting threats became the decisive factor. With the front line under immediate pressure, the crew transitioned from standard high-explosive rounds to M109 Excalibur precision-guided shells. Artillery designed for moments when accuracy is paramount, and the margin for error is razor-thin. The fire control system seamlessly integrated the new targeting data from the Phoenix drone. At 0631 hours, the Paladin loaded its first Excalibur round. This GPS-guided 155mm shell, equipped with guidance fins and a specialized fuse, could correct its course mid-flight, ensuring a circular error probable of less than 4 meters even at maximum range. That level of precision allowed Ukrainian gunners to target advancing Russian armour and infantry concentrations with minimal risk to their own lines. The first Excalibur strike targeted a T-72 tank and its supporting infantry, adjusting for wind shear and atmospheric conditions in real time. The resulting explosion destroyed the tank's turret and detonated its onboard munitions, instantly neutralizing the spearhead of the Russian push. The Paladin's crew maintained a rapid tempo, firing 2 more Excalibur rounds in the following moments. Each found its mark, eliminating additional T-72s and stalling the momentum of the armoured assault. The Phoenix drone relayed updated target data, allowing the Paladin to quickly shift focus to a BMP command vehicle directing Russian infantry. A single Excalibur round, guided by the drone's real-time intelligence, struck the vehicle and crippled its communication systems. This disruption sowed confusion among the Russian forces, who depended on coordinated orders to maintain their advance. The cumulative effect of these precision strikes was immediate. Ukrainian trenches held, and the Russian offensive lost its cohesion. With the armoured threat checked, a new danger emerged. Russian infantry began regrouping just beyond the trench network, seeking to consolidate and launch a renewed attack. The Paladin's operators responded by switching to M483A1 cluster munitions, designed for area denial and massed infantry suppression. Each round released 88 dual-purpose bomblets in a 900 square meter pattern, saturating the infantry assembly area. The fire control system calculated an optimal burst altitude of 50 meters, maximizing the dispersal and lethality of the submunitions. 4 rounds were fired in quick succession, their bomblets detonating with a 15-meter effective radius. The rapid deployment of these area-effect munitions shattered the Russian infantry's attempt to regroup. Soldiers caught in the open were struck by fragmentation, while those seeking cover among light vehicles or natural terrain found no refuge. In less than a minute, the cluster munitions broke apart the remaining concentration of enemy infantry, forcing survivors into retreat and preventing the establishment of any defensive foothold. The Paladin's flexibility in shifting ammunition types ensured that no phase of the Russian attack went unchallenged. This rapid transition from pinpoint Excalibur strikes to area effect cluster fire squeezed the enemy on two axes and left no space to regroup. The Paladin's ability to alternate between precision and saturation fire allowed Ukrainian forces to maintain control over the tempo and geography of the engagement, denying the Russians any opportunity to recover. The use of cluster munitions, while tactically effective, brought significant ethical considerations. The M483A1 rounds, with their wide dispersal pattern, posed a risk of unexploded ordnance that could threaten civilians and friendly forces long after the battle. Ukrainian commanders weighed these risks against the immediate necessity of halting a coordinated enemy advance. In the context of the Dresba engagement, the decision reflected the harsh realities of modern warfare, where tactical effectiveness must often be balanced against long-term consequences. As the last detonations faded and the battlefield quieted, Russian infantry no longer posed an organized threat. The Paladin's performance under pressure demonstrated the value of integrated precision, rapid adaptation, and technological superiority. Yet the aftermath of such a display brought new dangers. The distinctive firing signature of the Paladin had not gone unnoticed, and the threat of enemy counter-battery fire now loomed over the crew. Their survival would depend on the same adaptability and speed that had defined their response throughout the engagement. Russian counter-battery fire is a persistent threat on the modern battlefield, and for the M109 Paladin, evasion is as critical as accuracy. At 0642 hours, the Paladin's electronic warfare suite detected the distinctive emissions of a Zoopark 1 counter-battery radar, scanning at 14 to 16 GHz with a 45-degree sweep. This system had locked onto the trajectories of the Paladin's earlier salvos, calculating the firing position with high precision. The warning was immediate and unambiguous. Retaliatory fire was imminent. The crew responded with practiced efficiency. Displacement protocols were already in place, and within moments, the Paladin's 675 horsepower turbocharged diesel engine roared to life. The vehicle's hydropneumatic suspension smoothed the ride and preserved fire control alignment on the move, allowing the Howitzer to navigate uneven terrain without losing operational readiness. The onboard navigation system selected a pre-plotted alternate firing position, optimizing both speed and cover. Every second counted. The Paladin had already exceeded its recommended time in position by 3 minutes, increasing the risk profile with each passing moment. Unlike towed artillery, which can require up to 20 minutes to relocate and re-establish a firing solution, the Paladin's self-propelled design allowed for rapid movement. The crew reached their next firing position in 87 seconds, just before incoming rounds impacted the old site. The urgency of the maneuver was underscored by the knowledge that the Zoopark 1's targeting data would be relayed to Russian artillery units within moments, compressing the window for escape to less than 2 minutes. The Paladin's top speed of 61 km per hour, combined with the automated route calculation system, enabled a swift and direct retreat. Protection during movement was not left to chance. The Paladin's armoured hull, rated to withstand 14.5mm rounds and artillery shrapnel, shielded the crew from stray fire or near-miss detonations. The hydropneumatic suspension, while crucial for maintaining fire control accuracy, also absorbed the impact of rough terrain and reduced the risk of mechanical failure under stress. The the vehicle's low profile and the use of natural terrain features further minimized the likelihood of detection during displacement. The effectiveness of this maneuver became clear as Russian shells rained down on the Paladin's former position. By the time the debris settled, the Howitzer was already settled and ready to fire again, denying the enemy any follow-through. The Paladin's fire control system required no lengthy recalibration. Targeting data from the Phoenix drone was uploaded in transit, and the system dynamically adjusted for new coordinates and terrain. Within 60 seconds of halting, the Paladin could resume fire missions, sustaining pressure on Russian forces without interruption. This rapid cycle of fire, displacement, and re-engagement exemplified the evolving doctrine of shoot-and-scoot artillery warfare. The Paladin's survivability was not the result of a single feature, but of an integrated approach. Advanced sensors, robust armor, high mobility, and seamless data integration. Each element contributed to an operational tempo that outpaced Russian countermeasures and preserved the fighting strength of Ukrainian artillery units. The tactical advantage extended beyond mere survival. By avoiding destruction from counter-battery fire, the Paladin remained a persistent threat, forcing Russian commanders to reconsider their own deployments and fire missions. The inability to neutralize Ukrainian artillery quickly undermined Russian momentum and exposed their units to continued precision strikes. The Paladin's ability to move, fire, and move again, without loss of accuracy or tempo, became a force multiplier, shaping the engagement's outcome in ways that static artillery could not. This engagement near Dresba illustrated the value of integrating mobility, protection, and precision in a single platform. The Paladin's actions under threat of counter-battery fire were not isolated tactics, but part of a broader transformation in how artillery is employed in high-intensity conflict. The coordination between electronic warfare detection, rapid displacement, and immediate re-engagement set a new standard for survivability and effectiveness on the battlefield. As the Paladin settled into its new firing position, the broader implications of this approach became evident. The ability to combine advanced targeting, rapid movement, and continuous fire support marked a turning point in artillery warfare, one that would have lasting consequences for future conflicts. The engagement at Dresba provided a clear demonstration of how real-time integration of drones, precision-guided munitions, and mobile artillery can shape the outcome of battle. 8 vehicles destroyed and enemy infantry surrendering to unmanned observation highlight the operational impact of these technologies. Traditional area suppression gave way to targeted strikes and rapid repositioning, forcing a reassessment of established tactics. This engagement proves real-time sensor-to-shooter integration can redefine defense strategy across the globe. The Paladin's performance here signals a new era where precision and adaptability decide battles. If you found this breakdown of modern artillery integration insightful, subscribe for more in-depth military analysis.